Surah Introduction. Surah Al-Ikh'laas, also known as the purity of faith, and the definition of the absolute God begins with the imperative word akal, which means to say or to declare with pure faith and conviction. This word carries a sense of urgency and importance, as it signifies Allah's command to humanity to proclaim the truth of Tawhid, the oneness of the absolute God, with utmost sincerity. The root of this word, qwl, reiterates the idea of to say or to utter, emphasizing the divine order to proclaim the unity and uniqueness of Allah. In this blessed surah, Almighty Allah commands humanity to adopt pure monotheism, affirming that He is the unlimited, the self-sufficient supreme authority, and that His quintessence is perfect and unmatched. Allah emphasizes that He has no relationship with anyone, and that all who exist in the universe are His creatures and therefore subservient to Him. Truly, there is no one like or equal to the Almighty Allah. The name of this surah, Al-Ikh'laas, and the definition of Almighty Allah, is not explicitly mentioned in the text, but it is derived from the Arabic word Ikh'las, which means a purity or sincerity. This name reflects the essence of the surah, which calls for pure faith and devotion to Allah. The surah consists of 4 verses, each one building on the previous one to emphasize the importance of Tawhid and the uniqueness of Allah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Qul huwa Allahu ahad.
With the name of Allah, the infinite beneficent, the infinite gracious. Say, He is Allah, who is unlimited, one.
Allahu samad.
The Allah, the self-sufficient supreme authority. 2.
Lam yalid wa lam yulad.
He neither begot any, nor was he begotten. 3.
Wa lam yakun lahu kufuwan ahad.
And nor is there anyone to him any comparison. 4. A complete way of life. Islamic A complete way of life is formulated, in which people perform all their activities and make sacrifices absolutely and only for the absolute God, hoping always to be nearer the truth and facts. This way of life strengthens bonds of love, brotherhood, mutual sympathy and care between all beings and human hearts. For when we speak of liberation from complete submission to these feelings, we are by no means suggesting that people should despise or hate them or escape from practicing them. Instead, they arise from the creative hand of Almighty Allah and they all owe their existence to Him. They are a gift to us from Almighty Allah who loves us and whom we love. Therefore, they deserve our love. For the sake of all this, the first address the Islamic message made was devoted to the establishment of the reality of the absolute God as oneness in people as hearts and minds. In this form, the Islamic message is seen by the soul, heart and mind, as a full explanation of human existence, a way of life and not merely a spoken word or an inert belief. It is life in its entirety and religion in its totality. Whatever details are later put in place are no more than the natural fruits of its establishment in people as hearts and minds. Theme with commentary. The statement He is the absolute God, the one who is unlimited, verse 1, is an affirmation of Allah's unity and uniqueness, signifying that He is the eternal, the absolute supreme authority, verse 2, who exists beyond the constraints of time and space. This means that he is not limited by anything, and his existence is not subject to the limitations that apply to created beings. Furthermore, Allah clarifies in verses 3-4 that He begets none, nor is He begotten, and there is nothing that could be compared to Him. This assertion emphasizes the fact that Allah is unlike anything in creation and cannot be likened to anything that exists. He is the source of all creation and the ultimate authority that governs all that exists, without being subject to any external influence or control. The Quran repeatedly emphasizes these points in various verses to reinforce the message of Tawhid and to clarify any misconceptions that may arise from human limitations in understanding the divine. By doing so, the Quran provides a comprehensive and detailed explanation of Allah's nature, ensuring that believers have a clear and accurate understanding of His unity and uniqueness. The eternal, the absolute supreme authority also means the absolute nourishing Lord to whom all creation turns for help, and without whose permission nothing is decided. This phrase signifies that Allah is the ultimate source of sustenance and guidance for all creation, and that He alone has the power to provide aid and support. Furthermore, Allah is the one and only the absolute nourishing Lord, emphasizing His uniqueness and exclusivity as the sole provider of sustenance and guidance. He is the one absolute God and absolute Master, the ultimate authority who governs all of existence, while all other beings are but His servants, dependent on Him for their existence and survival. Furthermore, Allah is the one and only the absolute nourishing Lord, emphasizing His uniqueness and exclusivity as the sole provider of sustenance and guidance. He is the one absolute God and absolute Master, the ultimate authority who governs all of existence, while all other beings are but His servants, dependent on Him for their existence and survival. To Him and Him alone are addressed all prayers and supplications, underscoring the fact that Allah is the only one worthy of worship and that He alone can answer prayers and grant requests. He and only He decides everything independently, reinforcing the idea that Allah's authority is absolute and unshared, and that He alone has the power to make decisions and determine the course of events. No one shares His authority, emphasizing that Allah's sovereignty is unrivaled and that He is the ultimate decision-maker in all matters. The statement He begets none, nor is He begotten signifies that the essence of the absolute God is unchanging, permanent, and eternal. The reality of the absolute God is not subject to any external factors that could alter or affect it, and its quality is absolute perfection at all times. The concept of birth, which implies a process of multiplication and development, is inapplicable to the absolute God's nature. Birth is a process that occurs in the physical world, where beings are created through the union of male and female, and it implies a state of incompleteness or nothingness before the process of creation. However, the absolute God's nature is not subject to such limitations, and His existence is not contingent upon any external factors. Furthermore, the idea of a father and son is also inapplicable to the absolute God's nature, as it implies a relationship based on similarity of being and structure. This would suggest that the absolute God's nature is not unique and could be replicated or compared to something else, which is contradictory to the concept of Tawhid, the oneness of the absolute God. Therefore, the quality of yoni in the absolute God's nature includes the renouncement of a father and son, emphasizing that the absolute God's existence is singular and unparalleled, and that there is no comparison or parallel to His nature in all of existence. This is a fundamental tenet of Islamic theology, which asserts that the absolute God is unique and indivisible, and that his nature cannot be comprehended or compared to any other being or entity. The statement that there is nothing that could be compared to him unequivocally emphasizes that the absolute God is unique and unparalleled in every aspect of his being, power, qualities, and attributes. This assertion is a rejection of the dualistic belief in two gods, which implies that there is a God of good and a God of evil, who are in opposition to each other and vie for dominance. Belief was prevalent among the Persians, who believed in a God of light and a God of darkness, and was also known to the people in the south of the Arabian Peninsula, where the Persians had once exercised sovereignty. However, Islam rejects this belief and asserts that the absolute God is the only effective power and the sole source of all creation. Repetition of the statement that there is nothing that could be compared to him in the Quran serves to confirm and elaborate upon the fact that the absolute God is one and indivisible, and that there is no comparison or parallel to his nature in all of existence. This is a fundamental tenet of Islamic theology, which emphasizes the unity and uniqueness of the absolute God and rejects any belief that suggests the existence of multiple deities or powers.
The statement "there is nothing that could be compared to him" unequivocally emphasizes that the absolute God is unique and unparalleled in every